What's going on, YouTube? You're back with Shades, and we're continuing Let's Play of Katawa Shoujo. Last time we left off, me and Lilly went to the convenience store to get some foodie foods. And then on the way back, we met up with Rin, and it appears that, Lilly is very uncomfortable with Rin's presence. Or at least she doesn't know how to handle Rin. Which is, I think, everyone's problem with Rin. Like, we don't know how to handle her, and it seems the only one who knows how to handle her is Emmy, and not a lot of people can handle Emmy to begin with, so let's go. We start toward the school again, having wasted way more time than necessary with this episode. Get it? Episode? Haha, ha. I struck the mic, my bad. Rin walks along the edge of the sidewalk in her arrhythmic way. Ha! Arrhythmic. Ha! Get it? Arrhythmia? Looking like a mix of sleepwalker and rope dancer, while Lilly keeps one hand on my shoulder, tapping at the ground with her cane. Tip, tap, step, step, tap, tap, step, step, step. Apart from that, and a few fragmented beginnings of conversation, it's quiet. Quite apart from the relaxing one into town at that. So how's the mural going? We are going to get bad luck. Never talk about works in progress. I'm sure it'll be wonderful. Bad luck. Tap, step, tap, step. She doesn't care to talk about it. Lily's planet list feels out of place for the first time. Step, step, step. The hill Yamaku rests on top of its surprisingly steep going uphill. What the fuck? I said that wrong. Let me say that again. The hill Yamaku rests on top of is surprisingly steep going uphill. Oh, well, God, Jesus Christ. The hill Yamaku rests on top of is surprisingly steep going uphill. Jesus Christ. I couldn't read that properly in my mind space. We slow the pace, but I still feel my pulse rising and breathing getting heavier. Almost there. I can see the gates already. More than that, though, I notice that Lily's hands slightly tighten on my shoulder, interpreting it as a gesture that she wants to ask something. I speak up. Anything wrong, Lily? Oh god, I bit my tongue. I resist the urge to say aside from our traveling companion, but I only just. For a moment she seems to debate whether she should even bring it up, but goes for it anyway. Is everything alright? Alright? How do you mean? The fact that I can't interpret her incredibly vague question puts her off for a second. It's just, you seem unusually tired, I guess. Not that she brings it up, I notice that my breathing is strangely heavy. The uphill walk has really done a job on me. Lily notices it all too quickly. So, the dialogue option is sorry I'm not in very good condition. It's alright, I just need to catch my breath. My condition isn't the best these days. Oh. Is it something that is related to being transferred here, I mean? She cuts herself off rather abruptly, maybe realizing she was being a bit intrusive. Her instincts are sharp, though, and while I don't like the subject, it's not like I should lie about it. If it's Lily, I don't think I mind. I'm just a little weak for the time being. Hanako said you looked fairly healthy, so I naturally thought. Lily doesn't finish her sentence, again, letting it trail off with a measure of concern. As she furrows her brow, Lily's uncomfortable expression spurs me to say at least something to ease her feelings. It's surprising that she's this flustered. Considering her straightforward attitude with her own blindness, she must know that not all share her own comfort with such things. No, it's okay. I have a pretty, I guess the best way to put it would be messed up heart. Arrhythmia. I had a bad heart attack a while ago because of it, and spent most of the spring in a hospital, ended in Yamaku on doctor's orders. She silently nods her head in acknowledgement. My answer, though, only seems to make Lily furrow her brow even further. She doesn't seem to quite know how to react, given we don't really know each other that well. I can't really fault her for it, given I have the exact same reaction. To my surprise, in a moment's time her face shows that she comes to some sort of realization. Wait, so the time when Emmy and you collided in the hallway? I grimaced slightly. Her ability to connect the dots quite so fast is unexpected. Yeah, I guess I'm a textbook example of why those rules about running in the corridors exist. That was a lot more dry than I intended. Lily visibly shies away from continuing the topic. While I do want to assuage her concern, I really don't want to dwell on this either. Don't worry about it. I try to offer a reassuring smile, but then I realize the futility. Without knowing this, Lily smiles at me reassuringly, but doesn't say anything further. Oh, if it was going to be that short, I would have just left this in the last part. Whatever. Arriving at the dorms, Rin stops in front of her mural as if lightning struck her. She had been so quiet for almost all the walk back that I had all but forgotten she was here. It's Friday, isn't it? What the hell is with her face? What the hell? It's Friday, isn't it? Yes, Friday, the 8th of June. This is bad. Bad? Why? Why? I think I'm going to go into fetal position and throw up, possibly in reverse order. Is something wrong? No, nothing is wrong. It's Friday and nothing is wrong yet. This mural, it's going to need to be finished by Sunday, so everything's alright. Do you have any drugs or a time machine? This is not good, not good. She's behind her schedule. Recalling Shizune's exasperation at Rin's carefree attitude several days ago, I don't know what to think. She has left herself open for a "I told you so," unless she can pull off whatever she needs to pull off by Sunday morning. Rin keeps staring at her mural, looking as mortified as she can. Leave me. I'm going to need to work for a while. I glance at Lilly, expecting her to share an incredulous look with me as I roll my eyes, but then I realize she's not one to do that kind of thing. Leave me. We do, of course, not want it to aggravate her any more than she already is. There is a treading bad feeling in my gut. Rin sure has a knack of making people feel worried about her. She seems like a person who should never be left alone. Maybe we should call someone. She sounded like she's going to go into shock or something. I'm sure she'll be just fine. She's just how to say. Lilly cocks her head a little, trying to find a polite way of calling Rin crazy without calling her crazy. Unique? Yes, a very unique person. I guess you could say that. She giggles at the notion, melodiously nodding in agreement. I'm guessing that's her giggle. Sorry about leaving you as stranded as you talk to her. I don't really understand her, so I keep my distance. Understandable. I mean, I would keep my distance too. Because, like, when I don't know how to talk to people, I don't know how to talk to people. Like, weird. I'm not one to blame her at all. Lilly lets slip a long breath, probably disguised yawn. I imagine she's as exhausted by all this as I am. I better leave now and give these to Hanako. Thank you for the company, Hisao. She smiles very sweetly at me. It feels different than normal, despite the fact that she seems to be smiling so often. I can't put my finger on what the difference is, it's just different. Relaxed, I'd say, but that's probably just relief over getting rid of Rin. Maybe. More burps. Yeah, good night. Say hi to Hanako for me. I will. Good night. And fade to black, and then time skip. Yay! The students roll into class for the Saturday morning session, each and every one of them sporting the tired eyes of people who've worked through the night. With only a day left to prepare, I suppose it's not so surprising. Thankfully, we only have to suffer through classes until lunch break, then our time is our own. Muto lurches into class in a tired stagger. I suppose students aren't the only people here that enjoy their late Friday nights. Without saying a word, he scrawls some page and question numbers on the board and slumps down at his desk. It's completely atypical behavior for him, but it appears that no one in class is going to call him out on it. Perhaps he had a bit of too much to drink last night. Wordlessly, the students shuffle their textbooks into position and get to work, not wanting to break the trend and do the same. Fatigue has made the class antisocial. Not a peep is heard among the ruffling papers. That can partially be attributed to the two empty seats beside me. For some reason, Misha and Shizune aren't present, probably doing council work for the festival. It's very quiet without Misha present. I wonder if she was born as rowdy as she is, or if she is making up for Shizune's lack of voice. Nakai, can I speak to you for a moment? I'm so engrossed in thinking about Misha that I don't even notice Muto approaching my desk. Sure, what's this about? It's probably better if we speak outside the classroom. Something about this doesn't sound too good, but I stand up and follow him out into the hallway. Muto stands in the hallway, scratching his head as he works out what he is trying to say. Not knowing what's going on, I wait silently. So, tell me, how are things? Things? I expected Muto to be a little vague, but this is pushing the limits. You know, things. You had a week to settle in now, so how are things? Fine, I guess. I see, and how's your condition? The pause before condition seemed a little unnecessary. Haven't had any problems so far. A brief shimmer of relief passes across Muto's face. Good, that's good. The school nurse was a little concerned that you might have been pushing yourself a bit too hard. He asked me to keep an eye on you when he couldn't. That makes sense. I'd ask you that you don't blow us off so freely. As much as we try to give you the level of education that you would get at normal school, you have to realize that you have limits. Our goal is to make sure that you know where those limits are, and how to maximize your potential with them. Do you follow me? I guess. I mean, I don't plan on doing anything stupid. Well, that's a start, I guess. So then, on to my next question. How are you finding your studies? I understand you were laid up for a while. We're not too far ahead, are we? I don't really think so. I tried to keep up when I was in the hospital, so it hasn't been too hard. Muto taps his chin and raises an eyebrow as he absorbs this information. Is that so? I suppose there are still students out there who realize the importance of learning. I wouldn't go that far. I was only trying to keep myself occupied in the little life supports prison. Well, yeah, you gotta keep up with these things, right? That's exactly it. One wrong move in this world and you're left behind, right? Right. Wouldn't want that to happen. No, you wouldn't. Every week there's a new scientific discovery. Most of them mean nothing to the lay person, but any one of them could be the key to the next big thing. I'll keep that in mind. It's obvious that Muto's serious talk is over and he's gone back to his standard, slightly scatterbrained approach to life. I think in hindsight that I prefer him this way. He's slightly more predictable in his unpredictability. Well then, I think that's all I really had to say. Let's get back inside, shall we? My relief is that suggestion is insurmountable. Sure, you're the boss, right? Muto pauses for a moment. I don't think any of my students have ever said that to me before. For an instant I consider replying to this, but something deep within me tells me to shut my mouth and get back to the classroom. A few of the students jump at the sound of the door, rapidly trying to pretend that they are working on the questions on the board. Some don't even bother, their heads slumped on the desk as they nap. Thankfully, it would appear that Muto doesn't even notice them. He returns to his desk and retrieves a scientific journal from one of the drawers. I guess I got him to there. The class returns to a near silence that Muto and I left in before our chat. Mixed feelings of tiredness and anticipation buzz around the room. Everyone here is either waiting for a chance to rest or the chance to get their last-minute preparations underway. The clock on the wall slowly ticks the remaining class time away, until finally the bells cry out, ending the torment. Before you all leave, I expect the answers for those problems by Monday. The class sighs as one, instantly regretting slacking off, but still acutely aware of the more pressing issues at hand. The classroom empties in a blink as everyone rushes to their last-minute festival preparations. I stay behind and try to quickly finish the questions so I don't have to bother with it, over the rest of the weekend with the festival and all tomorrow. Apart from me, Hanako is the only one left, obviously waiting for Lilly. It's weird that Lilly comes all the way to our classroom to pick her up. I expect that moving around is at least nominally harder for her than it is for Hanako. But none of my business, and I naturally don't ask about it from Hanako. Despite the relative proximity of our seats, neither tries to strike up a conversation about that, or anything else either, so an oppressive silence falls upon the classroom. Time passes in silence. It's probably just 15 minutes or so, but it feels longer. I turn the pages of my notebook. Hanako turns pages of the novel she's reading. My pencil lid splinters against the paper just when I was about to finish a paragraph. The sounds of my irritated sigh and subsequent fumbling around for a sharpener feel like they're breaking the mood in the classroom. Hanako keeps her eyes firmly away from my direction. Before long, Lily's tall figure appears in the doorway. Hanako. Her name is all it takes to make Hanako jump from her desk and run to Lilly. They talk quietly for a moment, but it isn't long before Lilly leaves down the hall and Hanako idles back into the classroom, taking her seat once again. I watch Hanako out of the corner of my eye out of sheer curiosity at the idea that the two would be separated. For a couple of minutes she does nothing but sit with her chin in her hand, staring at the desk dejectedly. The boredom evidently becomes too much for her though, her slender frame reaching into her bag and pulling out a small book. Come to think of it, oh, I muted it again. Come to think of it, this isn't the one I saw her reading at the library. She must be quite a fast reader to get through them at this rate. But why would Lilly leave her to her own devices? It seems to be quite out of the ordinary, going by Hanako's reaction. Ah, that's right. I think Lilly mentioned something about going into town today before Rin bumped into us. The thought of the walk makes me look outside. The bright sun and occasional people wandering around enjoying the afternoon makes me yearn to get out of school, or at least do something other than sit here. Giving into one of my worst vices, procrastination, I decide that history is a subject best studied on a Sunday, or a Monday, or on any day other than this one. I give a grunt as I lever myself out of my seat, briefly debating whether or not to hang out with Kenji. He doesn't strike me as the enjoying the nice weather outside with others kind of person. Really, I guess I'll catch up with him later. Changing the tacks, I briefly entertain the idea of talking with Hanako, but by the time I look at her seat, it's vacant. She must have left for the library. There's gotta be something to do that could kill time. Oh. Oh, okay, so our choice here is to go for a walk into town. Yay! Following Hanako to the library seems a bit intrusive. There was a reason she left the classroom after all. I'm guessing the other path is for Hanako, I don't know. And that aside, I do want to catch up with Lilly. At the very least, I want to thank her for looking out for me despite her other, obviously taxing duties. I guess I'll walk around town. With any luck, I should be able to find Lilly. The exercise will do me some good as well. Walking through the school courtyard to the gate, I give a small nod to a couple of passing classmates, the gesture being returned in kind. Even from here, the shouts of the sports club members can be heard. From the sheer volume of the din, the track must be packed right now. Isn't that track meet? No, that's later. I remember what Lilly said yesterday about being dropped right into the middle of a busy time for the school. While I'm trying to get my bearings and catch up on study that I've missed, everyone else seems to be doing normal school activities. The feeling of being a foreigner still hasn't dissipated, at least not yet. Well, I guess not everything's bad. This is a private school, and that much is easily noticed when walking around outside. Not only are their school grounds huge, but the buildings themselves are immaculate and quite divorced from a dime a dozen concrete blocks in public schools. There's also the fact that there's a much stronger feeling of community here, or at least a friendlier atmosphere. At my old school, it was generally accepted that people would keep to their little clique and be done with it. Same at my school. Eventually I reach the gate and begin to walk down the road and into town. Well, that was fairly productive. Having seen a fair portion of town, even including the houses perched on the hills around the outskirts, I decided to take a walk around the park before heading back. Living in a city all my life, the total lack of smartly dressed businessmen and fashionably dressed girls struck me as incredibly unusual. All that's to be seen are the oddly elderly person shuffling along the sidewalk, and assorted busily chatting pairs of middle-aged women outside of the small storefronts. Walking along the road to the park quickly distracts me from them, though, making me realize that I perhaps pushed myself further than I should have done to see as much as I could. As my breath begins to wheeze and my chest tightens more and more, I give up on the prospect of shouldering on. Oh, come on, am I giving myself another heart attack here? Jesus Christ, boy, stop giving yourself a heart attack. Oops, I didn't read that one. Oopsie, oh god, go back. Sorry, I have to adjust the mic as I lean back. I just have to make sure it's pointing at my mouth. After a quick glance around the park as I enter, I take a seat on a wobbly old bench that I notice near a couple of vending machines. For a minute and on end, I sit with my head bent over, forcing myself to take deep breaths. I feel more like an old man than a teenager should be in the prime of his life. The stay in the hospital and the surgery and the medications must be taking their toll on me. Damn it. Eventually my breathing returns to normal and the muscles in my chest loosen. Not without a fair measure of relief. I guess this means that the end of my little sojourn, though, in any case. There's a cafe on the far corner, so I'll stop by to quench my thirst before heading back. A little bell above the door signals my arrival to an empty counter. For a few moments I stand there waiting, my eyes every now and again drifting from one end of the counter to the other for a service bell. Eventually a door some ways behind the counter opens and the person emerging from it, taking me completely by surprise. Yuko? Hi, I had no idea you worked here. I really have no idea how to address her either, given that she is technically school staff as well. Apparently, a waitress. Yes, She quickly paces up the counter before flinging her upper half downwards in an overacted bow. Welcome to the Shanghai. May I take your order? Straight down to business, I see. I don't know. Well, some coffee, please? Yes, certainly. I'll make it right away and bring it to you when it's done. Thanks. Yuko's formality takes me aback. She seems to take her job very seriously. Obeying her instructions, I turn around and quickly glance around for a free table. Considering the cafe seems to be empty, this is a simple task to accomplish. As I walk toward a table adjacent to the window, I notice a flash of yellow around one of the table dividers. Oh my god! It's that character that I've seen on Tumblr. Sure enough, no more than a glance is needed to ascertain that it's a certain Satou at the table. That said, I don't recognize a suited figure across the table from her. Blonde, fair skin, and only a little shorter. She? I think she must be a relative. Since the two are all but silent as the suited figure takes a swig from a cup of coffee, I decide to greet Lilly. Some part of my coming here was in order to meet her after all. Hi, Lilly. Hisao? Yeah, nice to see you again. The suited girl looks up, noting my uniform with a relaxed smile. Know each other? I guess. It's as good an approximation of our relationship as I can think of. Can I take a seat? She says this to the air beside me, but the message is clear enough that I take a seat beside her. I suppose some introductions might be in order. Hisao, this is Akira Satou, my older sister. Akira? This is Hisao Nakai, another Yamaku student. Looks like my guess was correct. The newly introduced Akira gives a nod, which I return. What I don't return, however, is an almost analytical gaze, which she looks me over. As she does so, Yuko walks up to the table and carefully places the coffee on the table before bowing and taking her leave. Gently bringing my hand to the side of the cup, I realize that it's already at just the right temperature to drink. After taking a sip, the flavor turns out to be just as good as the temperature. Yuko seems to be a lot better at this than being a librarian. I take a good long drink before relaxing into the seat. It takes a mere seconds for Akira's examination to come to an end. Apparently becoming quickly bored with the activity, she turns to her sister. So, how's school recently? It seems Akira is entirely unconcerned with someone she doesn't know at all, listening to everything they say. Not that I mind, leaving them to their chatting. I sit back and continue drinking the pleasantly aromatic coffee. Sounds like it's pretty busy for you then. At least I'm not cooking your meals after school anymore. Oh wow, this is they are siblings, Jesus Christ. As I talk, I slowly realize that I'm entirely unable to gauge Lily's emotion through her eyes, as though I would be able to for any other person. Well, she doesn't know how to show emotion via her eyes. It becomes slightly unsettling as I subconsciously focus on that fact. Whoa, so cold. Weren't you cooking for yourself anyway? I only ever got leftovers. That's not the point. Are you managing to feed yourself at least? I can cook without blowing myself up, you know. Mostly. That's... It's fine. I need to learn sometime anyway. Lily? Everyone present is momentarily distracted by Yuko, who places a cup of tea on the table for Lily. Taking the moment to glance at her watch, Akira levels herself off her seat and gives me a quick nod. Well, I'd better be off. It was nice talking to you, Lily. Akira, do you have to... Lily looks genuinely mournful at her sister suddenly leaving. It does seem like she might have the wrong idea. Sorry, I need to get back to work. They'll be on my neck again if I don't make it back quickly. So informal. Akira's trim and tidy appearance would give anyone the wrong impression of her. She looks like a tomboy, Jesus Christ! Bye, Akira. Come on, don't look so down. I'll be around again soon. See yas. With that, she waltzes out of the Shanghai with her hand held high. Lily still looks pretty depressed, so I try to make some small talk in an effort to take her mind off of it. She seems nice. We used to live together, but now that I live at school, we hardly ever see each other. Despite Lily having been quite affable, I still don't really know much about her. In hindsight, it's surprising just how much she's extracted from me, really. You used to live together. Was it somewhere around here? It was pretty far south, so the trip to Yamaku was fairly long. With her working hours getting longer and Yamaku being so far away, there was little choice in the end but to move into the dormitories. Yeah. Well, that explains the chatter about cooking. Evidently, regarding her composure, she livens back up, at least in part. I take it you're better rested now? Sorry? You sound less exhausted than you did when you first came in. To be able to pick up my breathing like that, she must have pretty good ears. That actually happens to blind people. Their other senses get stronger. Yeah, ended up walking all over town, despite planning only to take a short walk down here. Reminded of my thirst from the walk, I leaned forward to take a sip. I'm not sure if coffee would be good for your heart, man. Without further ado, Lily starts on her cup of strong-smelling tea. I guess I'd better get going back to Yamaku. There's only so long I can stall studying for, and I want to get in a good night's sleep before the festival. Standing from my seat, I take the coffee-stained cup from the table. You're leaving? Yeah, you going to head back as well? It's getting kinda late. For a moment she pauses, before lifting her face over her teacup, as if she was looking at me. Yuko, could we have one more coffee, please? Okay, I'll bring it right away. That's not subtle. She gives a short giggle at my frank assessment of her maneuver. It's surprisingly childish and carefree, given her otherwise collected appearance. Nice! I like this girl. She's so awesome. It's like, you're not leaving, are you? Yuko, one more coffee! In the end, though, I have little reason to refuse. To be honest, I can hardly say no, all things considered. Giving a manufactured sigh, I take a seat opposite her. Oh, so you go like, oh, I guess I'll take the coffee. Wanting company, then? I'd say it's a little more than I was wondering. I see she's in questioning mode again. She does seem to be unusually interested in me, or at least curious. Perhaps she has a crush on me. Do you have any siblings? Not exactly an unexpected tangent. No, only child. To be honest, the idea of having someone that close makes me a bit envious. Interesting. I raise an eyebrow, which of course goes unseen. The short silence communicates the question as well. It's just that others have said the same thing before. It's a difficult subject to try and think about objectively, given that I've always had someone like that. I can mostly understand what Lilly means, given that it would be hard to place oneself outside of the situation they've been in their entire life. She and her sister must have a pretty close relationship. It's definitely a sibling relationship. I mean, they're jabbing at each other, which is always awesome in sibling relationships. Like you always poke fun at each other, but at the end of the day, you love each other. At least for the most part. Taking pains to interrupt us as little as possible, Yuko dutifully comes over and places a cup on the table. Lilly thanks her as I sit back, taking in this vexing girl in front of me. Despite always seeming to be on her guard and in control of herself when talking to others, she has an almost childlike curiosity about other people. That said, those rare moments she seems to slightly lower her guard are the most insightful into how she thinks. Reaching forward for my drink, I realize something I probably should have noticed earlier. I think I'm starting to become kind of curious about her.
Oh yeah?
Brought the mic closer to my face again, sorry. Despite making a good... Actually, that's a good place to end it right now, because I'm literally almost over time. So anyway, thank you all so much for watching. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you've seen more videos from me, hit the subscribe button. And you are now exiting the Shadyverse. My name's Shades, and I hope you've enjoyed your day in the shade. See you guys later. This game's getting really fun!